You get the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 25. Because some people may say, like, man, is it, it's supposed to be good, to honor, appreciate, and love. We're not taking away from, the honoring of the mothers from the women. But it's how we do it. It has to first stand according to the Most High. Read that in Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25.
Daniel chapter 7 verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
So this is Esau. Read, he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints, Israel, of the Most High, and do what?
And think to change times and laws.
So think to change times and laws. So this being made is actually a change to the laws of the Most High. Because the Most High already taught us how, in regards, we're supposed to honor our mother. Honor the women in that regard. Because now, go from there, I want you to go ahead and get the book of Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20. And then we're going to get Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12. Read that in the book of Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 20.
Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So
one of the things understanding is that we have to pay attention to the thing that we try to call according to this world good. Because the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High, thus say the Scriptures. But understanding what it is the Most High wanted us to do and keep. So now let's continue reading. Back here at history.com, where we left off with Jarvis after 1914.
Jarvis would later denounce the holidays, commercialization, and spent the later part of her life trying to remove it from the calendar.
So see, she advocated for the day, wanted to have it on the calendar being a holiday that is widely celebrated, but then had to advocate for its removal because of what it became. So now, read on.
While dates and celebrations vary, Mother's Day traditionally involves presenting moms with flowers, cards, and other gifts.
Right. Things people set aside from the day, but those things are supposed to be done throughout the year. You have so many people that focus so heavily on the day, and you'll read the number one time many people call and receive phone calls. That actually may even be in this article. All right, it's not in this one. But it's during Mother's Day. That's when people decide, let me talk to my mama today. Let me see how she's doing. Let me take my mama out to dinner today. Most times I said, no, it shouldn't be about the day. You should seek to do that on a regular. You should seek to do that it's no different than when you look at any other relationship. You look at friendship, for example. Is being a friend something I do once a year? Let me make sure I'll be a good friend. Let me make sure I take care. It's something I do throughout the year whenever it's called upon me. Likewise, when it comes down to taking care of your parent, that's something you do throughout the year. Your mindset to it should be consistent, not impartial. Not something you do seasonally, but something you do continuously. Make sense? All right, so now let's go back to History of Mother's Day. Let's read this, history.com.
Celebration of mothers and motherhood can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans.
Now, why can it be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans? Read.
Who held festivals in honor of the mother goddesses.
The mother who?
Goddesses.
See, that's the idolatry I was talking about. This is the part you have to be aware of, because once again, there's always a root. There's always a place that it comes from that they try to get you to worship. So now, continue.
Rhea and Sybil, but the clearest modern precedent for Mother's Day is the early Christian festival known as Mothering Sunday.
Right. So now, one thing I want you to get the book of Acts. Get the book of Acts chapter 19. I want you to read verse 24 and then skip down and read verse 27. Because let's get some Roman. There's always these women that these temples are erected and made for the worshiping of them. And of course, anytime I'm not reading the slide, you can go ahead and put the camera back on the class.
Acts chapter 19, verse 24.
Go ahead.
For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shears from Diana brought no small gain unto the craftsman. Verse 27.
So always making these things for Diana, always some goddess. Read verse 27. Go ahead.
Verse 27. So that not only this our craft is in danger to be set not at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised.
So now there's always, so once again, there's always a goddess that's always connected to these things. Now, as we just read in just the history.com article, there's a goddess attached to it. So there's always a deity in regard that goes along with the day in honoring the woman as a God figure, but a God figure above the Most High God. That's the problem, because the scriptures say we're gods, but not to be honored above the Most High. That's the problem. So there's nothing wrong with, black man is God, black woman is God. Yeah, but in what context? The supreme God, almighty, creator, things that, not at all. So now, let's go ahead, let's go back to the article. The history of Mother's Day. All right, so now continue reading.
Once a major tradition in the United Kingdom and part of Europe, this celebration fell on the fourth Sunday in Lent and was originally seen as a time when the faithful would return to their mother church, the main church in the vicinity of their home, for a special service. Over time, the Mothering Sunday tradition shifted into a more secular holiday, and children would present their mothers with flowers and other tokens of appreciation. This custom eventually faded in popularity before merging with the American Mother's Day in 1930 and 1940s.
Let's get some of the other ancient stuff. Get Jeremiah chapter 7 and 18. Going a little more into the goddess aspect of it. Get Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 18, and then from there we're going to get Jeremiah chapter 44, 17 through 18. Get Jeremiah chapter 7 and read verse 18.
Jeremiah 7 and verse 18. The children gathered wood, and the fathers kindled the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven.
To who?
To the queen of heaven.
So once again, representing that goddess. Go ahead from there, get Jeremiah 44, 17 through 18. And this deals with that even our people, Israel, felt like this is something that they had to do. That it was disrespectful not to do it. Gotta worship the goddess. As some of our, people are today in, various religions and beliefs, things of that nature. But read Jeremiah chapter 44, 17 through 18.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 17. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the city of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem. For them had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil.
Right, because these came even for our people, that all of these things that in the world you see as good, they think if I don't do these things, something bad can come upon me. Many times in the world, you feel like if you didn't do something for your mom on Mother's Day, you was a bad child. Is that not the case for many? Like, man, how you not going to do something for your mama? It's Mother's Day. And even women too. Come on, it's my day. I get one day out of the year. You ain't going to do this for me? How much do I ask of you? The same thing we get hit with. Well, the Most High said, nah, it ain't even supposed to be that. It's supposed to be on a continuous thing. You ain't supposed to worry about my days. I ask you to do something. It's like, man, can you do it? Regardless if you 10, 20, or 30. It's one of those things where all that honor is always given. The Most High made sure of that, to where the woman's always given that honor given for her position. And not something to have to fight for that reason, only get it once out of a year. That's the only time my children really think of me, because they're so busy doing their own thing. Or that's the only time I become of a major significance. So now, from there, continue reading.
Verse 18. But since we left off to burn incense to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine.
Right. In their mind, and on our people's mind at that, they thinking, well, this act you saying is wicked, but it seemed like worse stuff happen when we don't do this kind of stuff. You know, if we tell it seemed like, man, we get cursed if we don't, you know, do these particular things to partake in these holidays, you know, so-called holy days, but holidays. So that's how a lot of our people were taking it, and that was their response to the prophets and to the Most High at that point in time. So now, from there, let's go ahead and let's go back to the article. Continue reading. Actually, right here. Oh, yeah, here we go. What's this? So did you know more phone calls are made on Mother's Day than any other day of the year? These holiday chats that mom often calls phone traffic to spike by as much as 37%. So that's a big increase. And notice you got a lot of people, I'll never forget, it was years ago. I have two siblings 20 years older than me. You know, boy and a girl, two siblings 20 years older than me. I never forget when I was younger, and, you know, they were both over at my oldest brother's house, who's now what, 47. You know, he's now 47, 48. So, but I remember, you know, about 15 years back, things of that nature. It was a situation where my brother, oldest brother and sister got into an argument, heated. Sister got kicked out of the house, kicked out of brother's house, over who would make breakfast for our mother.
Damn.
Heated argument, like, those are the things, because, now notice, it's so, because once again, that day is supposed to be so big. I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do it. And what I say, I'm going to get it. But it's, once again, y'all should be doing stuff like that and thinking to do those things often. It should be often. Not once a year. It should be multiple times out of the month. Let me go, man, check. Let me go bring her some. Man, let me go rub her feet. Man, let me, you know, let me go help make sure she good with groceries. Let me go make, it should be, there should be continuity there. So now, let's continue reading. Continue reading about Anne Reeves Jarvis and Julia Ward.
Anne Reeves Jarvis and Julia Ward Ho, the origins of Mother's Day, as celebrated in the United States, date back to the 19th century and the year before the Civil War. Anne Reeves Jarvis of West Virginia helped start Mother's Day. Work clubs to teach local women how to properly care for their children. These clubs later became a unifying force in a region of the country. Still divided over the Civil War in 1968. 1868, Jarvis organized Mother's Day Friendship Day, at which mothers gathered with former Union and Confederate soldiers to promote reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Another precursor to Mother's Day came from the abolitionists and suffragette Julia Ward Ho.
How?
In 1870, Howe wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation, a call to action that asked mothers to unite in promoting world peace. In 1873, Howe campaigned for a Mother's Peace Day to be celebrated every June 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Other early Mother's Day pioneers included Juliet Calhoun Bakley, a temperance activist who inspired a local Mother's Day in Albion, Michigan. In the 1870s, the duo of Mary's Tile Season and Frank Herring, meanwhile, both worked to organize a Mother's Day in the late 19th and early 20th century. Some have even called Herring the father of Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm. Now let's get Anna Jarvis how it gets to her.
Anna Jarvis, the official Mother's Day holiday, arose in the 1900s as a result of the effort of Anne Jarvis, daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis. Following her mother's 1905 death, Anne Jarvis conceived a Mother's Day as a way of honoring the sacrifice of mothers made for their children.
Right. So, of course, you know, the intent of what it came from and things of that nature, her intent, seemed good. It's not saying anything of that nature and honoring is anything bad. She had a good intent, but it's still one of those things to where that intent was still going about in a way that goes against what it is the Most High laid out for us. Go ahead and get Exodus chapter 20 and 12, and then Sirach 3 and 8. Exodus 20 and 12, and then Sirach 3 and 8.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land.
Right.
Which,
Get Sirach 3 and 8. So the Most High said, honor thy father and thy mother. That's supposed to be something done on a regular basis. Most High made sure that that was respect that was given to the sacrifice that the parents gave in. And there's many scriptures that go into the dedication of the parent that deals with the mother, the role that she plays, the father, the role that he plays, and how there's nothing you can do to repay the sacrifice of a lot of time what your parents did to raise you. Many times we may feel like, man, mom did it, could have done better, but certain things are very, very difficult. I'm in a place like, man, shoot, class started late today, but I'm in a place right now operating as a single father. I've been up since 6 o'clock a.m. getting ready, getting the kids dressed, bathe. You know what time I start on this lesson? 5:30. And I had to finish by 6:30 so I could stop, make sure the girls were fed. I had to make dinner, feed them, bathe them, dress them, bathe myself dressed to be here by 7:30. It's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot operating in a place as a parent, especially if you have to play both roles, which I got to play right now. So, and being up since 6, I didn't slack on anything. Washing clothes, I've been busy all day, sweating. But, it's one of those things, it's rewarding work. I don't regret it. I've committed those, it's okay, I'll make it work. But it's one of those things to where when you're looking at it from, because it's many of our women who operate as, most are single mothers a lot of times. So you're putting in a lot of work, but your role is oftentimes undermined or mitigated by the world, which I'll get into momentarily. And then on top of that, you have a lot of times the children don't see all the labor that you do, need it be for a hard-working father or a mother. They don't see the labor, they don't see the providing thing that you do. They just grow up and say, all right, things is done. And they become older and can become cocky, impudent, disrespectful, so on and so forth, without even realizing all the sacrificing that you did, and have to wait until they get in a similar position and hope that they might be able to fulfill some of the shoes that you did when you was raising them. That is difficult. I'm about to get in those things momentarily. But go ahead and read that, Sirach 3 and 8.
Sirach chapter 3, verse 8. Honor thy father and mother, both in word.
Both in what?
Word.
And what?
And deed.
Both in word and deed. There becomes a level of respect to where you honor your parents both in word and in deed, both in what it is you say, how you talk to them, and also in what it is your actions toward them as well. Have to be those of respect and dignity given their position. Whether you believe your parents went above and beyond or whether they just did enough to get by, it's you aren't and were not in a place to observe everything that they did to be able to make a good judgment on, hey, they did everything they were supposed to do or they didn't. Because it takes a lot to realize, like, my children ain't going, I got a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. You think they really take notice of everything I do to take care of them, everything I'm struggling, everything I did today? They were too busy playing. They ain't see that. So it's one of those things, I wouldn't be surprised they get older in their teens if my dad ain't really do a whole lot. I ain't seen it, because they don't know. I'm a wink at it. But it's one of those things to where others will know and see that, yeah, your daddy did a whole lot. You should shut your mouth. He made a lot of sacrifices for you. It's you didn't see it, but others see it. Others can see. You got people, hey, you could be in a place to where you never even knew father, things of that nature, but you don't know the sacrifice that your father did, and secretly could be a situation where you didn't really know your father that well, not because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, but your mama didn't want him around. But you didn't know that growing up. So the role of a parent is very important. But I'll deal with the fathers on Father's Day. And that to the mothers. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Read on.
After gaining financial backing from a Philadelphia department store owner named John Wanamaker in May 1908, she organized the first official Mother's Day celebration at a Methodist church in Grafton, West Virginia. That same day also saw thousands of people attend a Mother's Day event at one of Wanamaker's retail stores in Philadelphia. Following the success of her first Mother's Day, Jarvis, who remained unmarried and childless her whole life, resolved to see her holiday added to the national calendar, arguing that American holidays were biased toward male achievements. She started a massive letter writing campaign to newspapers and prominent political urging the adoption of a special day honoring motherhood. By 1912, many states, towns, and churches had adopted Mother's Day as an annual holiday. And Jarvis had established the Mother's Day International Association to help promote her cause. Her persistent paid off in 1914 when President Woodrow Wilson signed a measure of officially establishing the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day.
Right. So it didn't take her too long to put. I mean, it took a little bit of time from 1905 to 1912 and then 1914, you know, but it didn't take too long for her to be able to push it. All right, let's get this last part.
Jarvis decrees commercialized Mother's Day. Anne Jarvis had originally conceived of Mother's Day as a day of personal celebration between mothers and families. Her vision of the day Her version of the day involved wearing a white carnation as a badge and visiting one's mother or attending church services.
Right. So now, in the things to where the acts that she's saying to be done and things of that nature, these are all good acts, but these are things that aren't supposed to be delegated once again to one day. This is things you're supposed to do on a regular. You should regularly be attending church or going to class, you know, to learn things of that nature, or be in a place of visiting your mother, things of that nature. So it should be something on a regular. Read.
But once Mother's Day became a national holiday, it was not long before florists and card companies and other merchants capitalized on its popularity.
Right, that's what's going to happen. Get Sirach 13 and verse 4. Sirach chapter 13 and verse 4.
Sirach chapter 13, verse 4.
Read it.
If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee.
So look, it says, but if thou be for his profit, he will use thee. So anything he saw can commercialize, make money up, that's what he's going to do. You know, and he's going to take away from anything that is supposed to be, you know, honorable in something and try to plagiarize, make it mitigate the value, things of that nature, rape it for all it's worth, just so that he can make more money off of it. It's like one of those things I watch, like Explain on Netflix. One of the things we're watching recently with the girls, I had them watching it, was about the diamond industry. The diamond industry was something that it was, how could you say, it was just commercialized. They had diamonds, they wanted to make money, so they had to pitch it to women to feel as if you needed a diamond. If you didn't have a diamond ring, your husband just wasn't doing right by you. And they pushed it in commercials, they pushed it in movies for the past, since I want to say, like, man, they've been pushing for like the past, like 50, 60, they've been pushing it and only perfecting how to push diamonds for women to feel like, I need to get it, and for men to feel like you got to get that for you got to get an engagement ring, you got to get it, like all those things. Those things are pushed and marketed on purpose to get you to buy in. If you don't get your mama flowers, you ain't doing it right. If you ain't taking out, you ain't doing it right. Commercializing the day, making it big and taking away from what the day should truly, you know, be about, and really what the day-to-day should be about in on a regular. So now let's go back to the slide. Let's continue. Wow, Jarvis.
While Jarvis had initially worked with the floral industry to help raise Mother's Day profile, by 1920 she had become disgusted with how the holiday had been commercialized. She outwardly denounced the transformation and urged people to stop buying Mother's Day flowers, cards, and candies.
Right. Because she was like, that wasn't even what it was supposed to be about. It's supposed to be just, man, doing right for your mama. But understand the script, that's something you most already instituted. All you have to do is enforce it and teach the value and importance of it. And teaching the children in the value of making sure you're always there to do well by your parents. Because the custom of our people was always to generally, unless you was married, you was always with your parents. Like, we wasn't in a place where now it's like 18 you get out, it's, well, I'm getting out for, I'm staying with you. Think about it. Isaac was how old when he married? He was 40 years old. He was still with his father. Why would he leave his father? Think about business. Why would I have kids just to send them away? It makes more sense to build with your parents. Think about this economy here. Why am I sending you away at the age of, 17, 18, 19? What do you have? What assets do you have? Do you have a house? Do you have a car? Wouldn't it be wiser to have my kids stay with me until buy your car and then save up and buy you a house? Why go and pay rent and give more money out when you're still in a place to where you don't have anything? Stay here, build assets. When you have assets, then when you're ready, leave. That's how our forefathers thought. We thought business and making sure our kids were in a better situation, not in a place to where they're struggling, repeating some of the same mistakes I have and trying to figure it out. That's more of a punishment and not building a nation. So things of that nature, thinking differently. So now, continue reading.
Jarvis eventually resorted to an open campaign against Mother's Day profiteers, speaking out against confectionists, florists, and even charities. She also launched countless lawsuits against groups that had used the name Mother's Day, eventually spending most of her personal wealth in legal fees.
Now see, she amassed a good amount of wealth from starting the day and then spent a good amount of that wealth in trying to eliminate the day because of what it became. Isn't that ironic? But once again, when at a problem, you stick to the script. All right, continue reading.
By the time of her death in 1948, her personal wealth and legal fees. Excuse me. By the time of her death in 1948, Jarvis had disowned the holiday altogether and actively lobbied the government to see it removed from the American calendar.
Right, but at that point in time, Esau was all over. Hell no, I'm making us too much money. You started, this is better than expected. You know how many people buying in? You wanted me eliminated, over something. I don't care what you started for. I see what it is now. We're going to continue to raise the stakes on it.
Mother's Day around, you didn't want to read that?
All right, this is the last part of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Mother's Day around the world. While versions of Mother's Day are celebrated worldwide, traditions vary depending on the country. In Thailand, for example, Mother's Day is always celebrated in August, on the birthday of the current queen, Sirikit. That's correct. Another alteration observance of Mother's Day can be found in Ethiopia, where families gather each fall to sing songs and eat large feasts as part of Antrost, a multi-day celebration honoring motherhood. In the United States, Mother's Day continues to be celebrated by presenting mothers and other women with gifts and flowers, and it has become one of the biggest holidays for consumer spending.
See that one of the biggest holidays. Read on.
Families also celebrate by giving mothers a day off from activities like cooking and other household chores.
And things of that nature, that should be something willingly done, once again, on a regular. So, and especially when you have, good parenting or in a place to where you have a good relationship, it was something like I try to make sure I continuously on a regular help out with these things. to where one doesn't have to feel like I have to do this all the time. It's like, no. Like the routine I would have is that, okay, my kids, all right, who's bathing, who's getting them dressed? One bathe, the other get them dressed. Only time I wouldn't help is if I had to take care of class or lesson, things of that nature. Other than that, yeah, I help do everything. Cooking, cleaning, things of that nature. Okay, well, cool. You cook, I clean. So as long as I was able to do that. So same thing. Tell the girl, okay, look, clean up, things of that nature. I'm cleaning up, you go clean up your room. So working together, you help ease the burden. Like I said, those are things done on a regular to show that love and appreciation. Not something you wait to do with it. All right, it ain't your day yet. So continue reading.
At times, Mother's Day has also been a date for launching
Pay attention to this, read.
political or feminist causes.
That's the part we got to deal with. I can't deal with the whole thing. I got to cut some of the portions short, but this is part of the other part of the lesson, the undermining of our women, all right, that led into these things. Read on.
In 1968, Coretta Scott King, wife of Martin Luther King Jr., used Mother's Day to host a march in support of underprivileged women and children. In the 1970s, women's groups also...
Pay attention to the dates. Read.
1970s, women's groups also used the holiday as a time to highlighting the need for equal rights and access to child care.
So now we're going to get into the next part, the politics and the undermining of women and the role of the mother and just that biggest part of it. All right. So now what I want you guys to do, I don't know why I was doing that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get one thing. I got to get this video here. Sum it up.
Mom, sort of. Their spring festival honored Rhea, the mother of all Greek gods. That holiday didn't pan out. In medieval Britain, servants were given the fourth Sunday of Lent to travel home and spend the day with their moms. This custom was called Mothering Sunday. But the modern-era Mother's Day was created by Anna Marie Jarvis. Anna admired her mother, who attended to the wounded during America's Civil War and later became a community activist. When young Anna was 12, it is believed she heard her mother pray that one day there might be a Memorial Day for mothers, for all the good that they do. Young Anna never forgot the prayer, and when her mom died in May of 1905, the plan for a holiday was born. On the second anniversary of her mom's death, Anna held a church memorial dedicated to her mother's good deeds. In May of 1908, Anna held another memorial and handed out white carnations, her mom's favorite flower. She contacted Philadelphia philanthropist John Wanamaker, who joined a Mother's Day committee in hopes of honoring all mothers all across the nation. In 1910, West Virginia became the first state to observe the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. After a fierce letter-writing campaign, Anna got Congress to federally recognize the holiday. And in 1914, President Wilson signed a bill that officially made the second Sunday in May Mother's Day. The holiday was meant to be spent in church. Afterwards, sons and daughters would write loving letters to their mothers. Carnations were worn that day. Pink or red honored living mothers, and white honored moms who had passed. With each year, more and more Mother's Day carnations were sold. And by 1920, greeting card companies got into the Mother's Day biz. Anna was enraged by what she considered a lazy excuse for letters that should be handwritten. By 1924, the holiday creator was so appalled with the commercialization of Mother's Day that she petitioned to abolish it. In 1930, Anna was arrested for disturbing the peace at a Mother's Day carnation sale. Sadly, Anna spent the rest of her life and family inheritance fighting the holiday. She died in 1948, leaving no children to remember her. Since then, Mother's Day has become one of the most profitable holidays for florists and the phone company's highest volume day of the year. This probably wouldn't have pleased Anna, but deep down she would have to be satisfied that on her Mother's Day, millions of moms around the world receive extra attention and well-deserved hugs.
All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so now we're going to move into the next part of this thing. All right, so I have an article. This article comes from this website right here. This article, I got part of it. Historic UK. So this one, the 1950s housewife. All right, because now this goes into the other part like I was talking about, the undermining of our women and the value of a housewife. All right. So now this one we're going to use a lot of Proverbs 31. All right. So now in this one, well, like I said, this one, bear with me. Your Proverbs chapter 31, and I want you to read verse 10.
Proverbs 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
Right, so it says, who can find a virtuous woman? Because her price is far above rubies. So now this is one website. This is from writtenwordpress.com. So it says, assessing the value of a housewife. It says, Sally.com estimates the replacement cost of a housewife is approximately $113,586 per year. You know, and other ones have it between $162,000, so on and so forth, and others range, you know, even more, things of that nature. That's how much you're worth. Now, how many people make that much in here? Think about it in Israel. Most of our people don't make nearly that much, right? But that is still your value. According to Esau's, you know, estimate, things of that nature, that, the value's there. But now, you can put the camera back on me in-house. Now, this thing to understand. He puts that number out there, but yet and still, you could be honest, asking yourself, for those online, even those in class, do you truly feel as a mother, as a wife, that you are truly valued and that your worth is far above rubies, that your worth is anywhere near that number that you just seen? Do you feel like that? Asking. You got to think about that. Do you truly feel like that in your mind, heart, and spirit? Not just say, I feel valuable. No, do you truly feel as if, man, everything I put in is worth hundreds, thousands of dollars? Because, you know, you look at every, you know, think about if you had to get like a real diamond. You'd be like, man, I can't afford it. That's expensive. But the value and place, everything you put in as a wife, as a mother, is that valuable. Your job, your effort, your work, all of that is that valuable. Now, remember I told you, remember those dates, right? The 1970s and thing. We're going to get some dates looking at the 1950s. We're going to read this article real quick. Let's go to this article, 1950s housewife. We're going to go to this. I want you to read this carefully. So it's by Ellen Castello from historicuk.com. It says, for a woman, were the 1950s and 60s the best of times or the worst of times? Because looking at what it is, once again, read that Proverbs 31 and 10.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
Who can find a virtuous woman? Because the standard of women has changed today from what it used to be. Remember, it is a very new thing, as the scripture said, that a woman shall compass a man. Because the standard of a woman was set from the beginning of time up until just, what, 60 years ago? Actually, no, less than that, because we did in the 1970s. That's when it changed. That's from all the time. It has been consistent, the role that women played up until fairly recent. Look at that. That's one of the things, 0.0009% of history, that the role of women has now been changed compared to what it is. And I have to emphasize that because, once again, it's understanding the standard that the women played, which most women today, even in the truth, don't even meet the standard. Most don't. And I'm going to read what the standard is according to what it has always been. Because many, you read the scripture, you think, man, that was a long time ago. But no, this is article dealing with the women of the 50s and 60s were before, like I said, a 1970s movement. So let's read this. It says, look, the life of the average married woman in the 1950s and 60s was very different from that of today's women. This was the age of respectability and conformity. Very few women worked after getting married. They stayed at home to raise the children and keep the house. Now, isn't that in Scripture? Get 1 Timothy 5 and 14. Because these things, you're not taught to be honorable. You're taught that these things are a problem in today's society. But we got to get the history of when did these things become a problem? You know why these things became a problem? I'm going to preface it because some people were reading this, they may get upset, especially some women. These things have become a problem due to Esau. You're not valued as a wife. You're not valued as a mother. You don't feel valued because of Esau. And you don't know why you don't feel as if your position is that important. You don't know why you don't feel as if, well, I feel like I should be doing more. I need more. You don't even understand why many of you feel as if I need to work, even if you don't have to. I got to make some money. I got to school. I got to get a career. I got to get a job. You don't even know where that comes from, many of you. Some of you got it from your mother. You were taught, your mother was teaching you, don't depend on no man. Many of you were getting that. But why? Two main factors, according to Esau. The problem came when divorces would happen. Because the woman, this is the part I have to bridge. I don't have all the information right now because, like I said, I didn't start this lesson until 5:30. And I tried to hurry up, and I was done 6:30. Got to make dinner, everything else. So now, understanding that when it came down to Esau, when it came down to divorce, Esau said that the woman got $0.00 because the man was the one making the money. That's one of the biggest parts of it. That was one of the strikes against women to where, well, guess what happens? I'm left with nothing. I ain't got nothing. Which many women today, if the husband working ain't doing nothing, what I got for my name? But understanding scripturally, which we'll get later on, I'm just prefacing this for now, scripturally, that was not so. Scripturally, our women were always taken care of by our nation, regardless of if your husband was dead, alive, whatever it is. We made sure we took care of the fatherless and the widows. Mandatory, we had to take care of them. As a nation of people, Esau, the one that changed that, said, hell no, she ain't get nothing. That was one of the first errors. The second one being, Esau took zero value when it came down to the role of a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home mom in the workplace. So she was not afforded anywhere near any of the same, not only pay was far from it, not in the same opportunities of consideration for the job positions of men. So then became, they had to fight harder to where, well, I got to go to school, I got to learn, because the women didn't go to school. They didn't go to college like that. It was, okay, you learn through, middle school, elementary, things of that nature, high school, but women didn't go to college like that. At one point in time, they couldn't, but they really didn't. So they didn't have the education, so they had to fight for education. This is where all these fights and things from 1970 came from, because the treatment of the women through Esau's system, which white women were dealing with first and foremost, what they dragged Israelite women into. That's why I say remember the dates, because from the 50s and 60s, they were different, and then 70s, hey, we got to change it. This is why the timeline of things is very important, to put things today to where the whole standard is, now you know why, well, I don't need a man. I can do it. I'm an independent woman. I don't need I ain't going to get stuck with it short and say, no, I got to get out here. Even women in the truth, same thing, same mindset. Start keeping the law, but many haven't fully submitted to the law. So they still like, well, I got to work. What am I going to have? I got to get my own money. The same thing. That is a worldly mindset through Esau. That's what it is. So now that I preface it, let's get into it. Let's go back to the standard. So now, get 1 Timothy 5 and 14. So as I said, the life of the average married woman in 50, 60 was very different from that of today's woman. It was the age of respectability and conformity. Very few women worked after getting married. They stayed at home to raise the children and keep the house. Read that.
1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house.
Are the scriptures saying anything different from what this article is saying that we read so far? It lines up. It's putting it, once again, they're not even reading. This was just the standard. The standard of the world at this point in time came from the scriptures. It's nothing different. So now, continue reading. I'm sorry. I got to continue reading. It said the man was considered the head of the household in all things. That means mortgages, legal documents, bank accounts. Gets 1 Corinthians 11:3. Is that anything different from the scriptures? But now there's so many young women in this day and age trying to argue, well, I don't like that. That ain't right. And it ain't nothing new. The argument is, what audacity do you feel to have to try to be over anything in a household? That's the problem. The standard was already set prior to the 1970s and according to the Most High and from the beginning of time. But it's a new thing. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man.
He is the head. And this defines what that means as the head. And we're going to define what guiding the house is according to Scripture. All these things. So now it says only the family allowance was paid directly to the mother. The man gave an allowance. That's what it is. You're supposed to receive. Here, this is the money you have with it. But I don't like that. It's my own money. This is the money I'm giving you for this. That's the way it's supposed to be. You shouldn't be fighting your husband on actually getting it. Be what it is he gives you. And if there's a problem, you guys can talk about it. But it shouldn't be an argument about it. So only found out was paid directly to the mother. Should a woman find herself in a loveless or violent marriage, she was trapped. She had no money of her own and no career. And that's the way it's been since the beginning of time. However, that's part of the problem in that. Because she was never trapped. She had a nation to protect her. That was the difference. Esau's system, you became trapped. Because he didn't want to take care of the women in that regard. Wanted to divorce them or give them nothing. And then in place didn't want to take care of the fatherless or widows. Give 1 Peter 3:7. Because one, violence shouldn't be going on in the household. That's not scriptural. So that goes for the men who go against the scriptures. Read 1 Peter 3:7.
1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge.
According to what?
According to knowledge.
According to knowledge. Not according to violence, not according to abuse, but dealing with them according to the knowledge. Our knowledge are these laws, statutes, and commandments. According to Deuteronomy chapter 4, 5-6. That's the way you're supposed to deal. This is why. This is me dealing according to knowledge and bringing out the scriptures in order as to how these things are the dynamics and the way that they are. All right, let's go back and get the article. So now it says, it was still unusual for women to go to university, especially working class women. Most left school and went straight into work until they married. Secondary schools, even grammar schools, prepared girls for this life. Lessons were given in cookery, household management, darning, sewing, and even how to iron a shirt properly. That was your education. That was what it is that the focus was for the women to learn. That was it. That's what a woman was all about. And that's even why some of those things even you may see, whether through social media or through others talk about, was the woman ought to cook and clean, because that's all you had to know. That was if you didn't know that, what good were you as a woman? Anything else after that was secondary. Your value was predicated upon how well were your skills in these areas. How well was your cooking skills? How well was your household management? How well sewing? How well could you iron things? How well could you keep the house? It says girls were trained to look after their husband, their children, and the house. Let's see if there's anything different from the script. Get Titus 2, 3-4. It said girls were trained to this. That means that the older women were teaching them these things. The grandmothers, the mother would teach them, you better know how to cook. You better know how to take care of your husband. You don't treat a man like this. You got to treat your man like this. He's the first part. You feed him first before you eat it, before the kids eat. What's wrong with you? Act like you got some sense, some home training. Get Titus 2, 3-4.
Titus chapter 2, verse 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Teachers of good things. These are these good things. Read on.
That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children.
To love their husband, is that no different from reading an article? It's the same thing. The teacher, they're supposed to be taught from a young age, young girl, how to love their children, how to love their husbands. Because a lot of women now don't know how to love their children. They don't know how to love their husband because they're not taught these things. They're not taught how to do it according to what love is. Love is an action. They're taught an emotional, romantic sense of love, which is a fairy tale, that they're supposed to be catered to on a regular basis, 24/7. The man's supposed to make sure he provides flowers and taking on dates and things. Not saying those things can't be in the relationship, but in the world, look at any of the movies that you see, that is an overly played stigma, constantly played in the minds of our women through everything they watch romantically, that the man is supposed to do all these extravagant things for them. How much of those movies really teach the woman to be in a place to where leading and guiding the household and being in an honor to be a wife and a mother? Very little. Especially in westernized cultures. Very little. So now, let's go back to the article. Let's read this. I'm going to read it. I'm sorry. So it says, shopping for food in the 1950s and 60s was done every day. Once again, was done every day. Shopping for food in 1950s was done every day. Most of our people complain, our women complain they got to go to the store twice a week. Our women are going every day. Whether online and in class, how many of y'all go to the grocery store every day? None. Maybe. You said maybe. She said maybe. Maybe you might get it like a 3 or 4, huh? But imagine every day. And I want you to think, like, imagine that, because this isn't a stem to get on with. This is understanding why your value was so high. And understanding that many who think to complain about how you play as a mother or a wife now, you ain't got nothing to complain on because you ain't doing half of this stuff. I guarantee you. To the degree that the women in the 1950s and beyond that had to do. It says shopping for food in 1950s was done every day, as storing fresh fruit was difficult. There were no supermarkets, so the housewife would visit the local baker, the butcher, the greengrocer, and the grocer individually. Like, we'd be mad if we had to go to 2 stores, let alone 1. And imagine you have to go to multiple stores on a daily basis. Think about that. Really think about it. I got to go to 3 or 4 stores on a daily to get all the supplies I need because everything was individualized. In the nowadays supermarket, they got everything in one place for you. You may have a couple of stores you may have to go to because, all right, they didn't have this. But it's like, okay, the butcher shop back then is just the butcher shop just got the meat. They ain't got the dish soap and everything else. You got to go somewhere else for that. Well, yeah, we got the dish soap, but we ain't got the rice and the grains. You got to go to someone else for that. Oh, man, and you think they was complaining about like this was life. Okay, girl, yeah, I just had to go to the butcher shop. Now I'm on my way to the greenhouse. Yep, I got to pick up some stuff for the plant for the garden, and then from there, shoot, I got to go. And that was just part of the duties. So now it says, once again, now she had to go to the greengrocer and the grocery individually, carrying all her shopping home in baskets or in a pull-along trolley. Nowadays, we complaining we got a car. Think about that. Imagine you had to walk from store to store and you pulling everything you getting. Man, many of our people will break down and have a psychological reaction just off of that. Alone if they had to do that today, these women. Tell me I'm lying. These women of today, let me have to pull a trolley, take the kids, and I got to go store to store, and I got to go to like 3 or 4 states a day? Oh, hell no, you never hear the end of her mouth. Babe, you got dinner, just what I had to do today. Just what I had to do today. I had to go to 3, and not mine, you had to go to 2 butchers, because the first one didn't have what you wanted. I had to go to the other one. Boy, it's your great-grandmothers will run circles around the women today and tell you to shut up because you ain't doing nothing. You got a cakewalk to go through, and I had to do, boy, unappreciative. We don't know struggle. Oh, watch for Father's Day. The men got it next because y'all don't struggle either. Most of y'all don't know how to change a tire. So y'all got it next. So the women got it right now, though. But now it says, look, it says she will pride herself. Once again, she will pride herself on budgeting. A lot of these women eat out so much they don't know what a budget look like. It says she will pride herself on budgeting and keeping within the weekly allowance. She know how much she got to spend. I can't go over. I got to maintain. It says she will pride herself on budgeting and keeping within the weekly allowance that she will receive from her husband. She know the finances ain't mine, it's my husband's. He tell me how much I get and how much I got to maintain within a parameter. That's his role, not mine. I ain't got nothing to complain about. That was his job. Nowadays, most women after that, oh, hell no. That shows you the level of wickedness of our women today and the level of complaint. And if that's you, then you got to suck it up and change. And if that ain't you, then it ain't you. You good. You've mastered that. And you've gotten back to some of our women of old. All praises. But if you haven't, then you know the goals you got to work on. That's all it is. Because I can't speak for everyone in the role that they play in their household. There's be hundreds of people that watch these videos. I can't speak for it, but you can speak for yourself. You know whether or not you're doing these things. So you know to say, damn, I don't even have it half as bad as my predecessors. What am I complaining for? I ain't even doing half of this stuff. And the stuff I am doing, I ain't even doing it in excellency. Because many women, damn sure, let them have to go. Let husbands say, man, did they have the ones that, nah, I ain't going to no another store, though. You're going to have to take this one. I'm tired. You don't even know what tired look like. You be taking a break. It says she will pride herself on budgeting and keeping within the weekly allowance that she will receive from her husband. Not many working or middle-class families had a family car, although many had motorbikes. Traffic was light, especially down residential streets, so children played out in the street quiet and safely. Get Proverbs 31, 10 through 14. This is bringing Proverbs 31 to life. This is really bringing it in the honor of a virtue. That's why I said, who can find a virtue? Who can find a woman like this? Especially in this day and age. Show me that, I'll give her anything she wants. Get that in Proverbs 31, 10 through 14.
Verse 10. Proverbs 31, verse 10.
Read it.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
That's why the question first starts out, who can find her? Where do you go to find this type of woman? I'm a single man right now. Where am I going to find that type of woman? I'm going to go to the club? Ain't no one in the club. Where am I going to bootleg church? Ain't woman bootleg church. I work with bootleg church worse than woman in the club. Where am I going to find that woman? Tell me, Daniel, where am I going to find that woman? Boy. Only thing you can do is, Abba. All you do, Father, please help me. Father, please help me. I need a virtue, Father, please. That's all you can do. All right, go back to Proverbs, read that.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
Woo, it said, who can find it? You'll never find a woman like mine. All right, go ahead and read.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
Go ahead.
For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her
price. Now you're getting into why a true stay-at-home mother, true stay-at-home wife is so valuable. Because these are all the things she's doing. That's why you can't let Esau or even your own people mitigate your value. Because of all the work and labor you had to do. This is why her price is far above rubies. Because of everything it is, you have to look at it to where our women, gold. Nowadays, we be some cheap copper, nickel, and things of that nature, but women gold. And all of that value is based upon you. Not all women need to be in the word or in the truth. It's valued the same. Because not all have the same level of output. It's based upon your output. It's based upon your behavior. It's based upon your actions, based upon your level of complaining. That's what your value is based off of. That, okay, but the potential is in every last one of you because you're still the daughters of Israel. The potential is there. It's just a matter of if you want to step into it. So it ain't for no one to get butthurt with, hey, if I hurt your feelings, play your role. Like, that's it. I'm not you. It's no different than, like I said, I'm playing my role. I'm playing the role of both parents. Am I complaining? No. Because the fact to where I love my children. And once again, it's the role that I'm responsible for playing as a father. Until the Most High, until what? That's why either gets custody of the kids and I ain't got them, or, eventually meet another woman next year, 2 years, whatever it is, or 5, whatever happens. But that's the position I got to play. And that you got to play. And that's it. We got to, if you take it with love and care and concern, it helps everything work out better, because once again, the value is there. The Most High says it's there, but the world will tell you different. The world you have, you chasing a shadow. Trying to chase a career, trying to chase a job, trying to chase finances, trying to chase a vacation, and trying to find those things honorable than playing your role in position. Continue reading.
The heart of her husband does safely trust in her.
You see that? The heart of her husband does safely trust, because many people saw, even reading earlier, many people said, allowance, I ain't 12. Many people feel like that. But you have to see an allowance is twofold. Allowance is what it is I allow you to have to take care of business, but then it's also what I'm trusting you with to handle the things that need to be handled. There's a level of trust that's given. And responsibility that's given, because you have to take care of these tasks. Because think about, what reason do I have to give you a whole bunch of money? You're not paying, all the bills. I'm paying the bills. You're not paying. So what is it I'm giving you all this money for? What do you need all this money for? All you're doing is getting the groceries at the end of the day. It'd be different if you had other expensive things that you personally needed these funds for. So it's kind of understanding why these things were even done in the fashion they were in the first place. Continue reading.
So that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Mm-hmm. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
All these things our women did willingly. She did these things willingly for her husband to do good unto him, but not evil. Read on.
She is like the merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar.
All these things she go afar. This is our women going afar to get what is needed. I got to go over here and, I'm busy all day. This is why when we're busy all day, they worked full time in the house while the man worked full time outside the house. Both worked a full-time job. Neither one being less in the amount of effort applied in the task that they're doing. The women worked hard. The men worked hard, just in two different areas. Both is hard work. So what has the other to complain concerning the labor that they do? But it came through Esau, and how he started dealing with his women, which affected our women, which then is why we're in the predicament we're in today. So now, back to the slide. Let's go. So now it says, Monday was washing day in most households. See, everybody, we had a universal washing day. Monday's washing day. No just popping the clothes into the machine and then into the tumble dryer for the 1950s woman if you're lucky enough to have a washing machine. Many times, we don't even like washing clothes, and we got a washer and dryer. Imagine if you didn't have a washer and dryer. Think about it. Old school washing. That's a full-time job. Yeah, that's hours of labor. Man, we ain't even got to put in those hours of labor. We complain for the time it takes just to separate the clothes and just put them in the washer and dryer. They do all the work for us. And then we don't even fold up the clothes for days later. Tell me I'm lying. Man, These are the things that make you take value in. Shoot, every day, man, I'm going to wash the clothes. Shoot, I ain't got nothing on my grandparents. Like, think about it. You know what I say? King Kong ain't got on me. Man, these women ain't got on your forefathers and foremothers. Like, think about that. That's not in spite. That's like, really think about it. Like, what do I have to complain for? Everything is automatic nowadays. I ain't got to pull a wagon or a basket to go to the store and go to 3 or 4 on a daily basis to pick up food and make every meal. I can drive a car. I have refrigeration and storage. I only got to go a couple times out of the week. And I can even be smart and even work it out. Many of us just go once a week. I go once a week, big bulk. I go on Sundays. Once a week, big bulk. I get everything I need, get grocery shop, make all the meals, and I meal plan, make my list, and I check off. But it take me like 2 hours to go grocery shopping because I go down every aisle and I explain everything to the kids. I explain this is organic, this is non-GMO, this is why we get this, we look for this, look for these labels, you know, here, go find these items, and I go over the checklist with them so that they learn why we make a checklist and why we go one by one, and to make sure we got everything before leaving the store so we don't have to double back and come back. I do that with them. And it becomes a fun thing for me and for them. I like it. I don't find it grievous because many women find it grievous to take the kids to the store with them. How they gonna learn to shop if you don't take them? Think about that. The kids have to grow up and eat and learn how to shop, but you don't ever take them to the store to learn. But I've been doing it for years. I've been taking my kids when I go to the store. I took them. Can't speak for my ex-rib. She wouldn't like to take them. I would take them. She would take them if she had to. If you'd like to leave them. I love to take my kids because I wanted to teach them as I went. That was my passion with it, but they gotta learn. So now, let me continue. Clothes, catch this, were often homemade. Often homemade. Women today has it, clothes are rarely, if ever, homemade. We complain about putting a ribbon of blue and some fringes on some clothes, let alone me having to make some clothes. Am I lying? I'm not lying. It's the truth. But our women were in a place to where they were making these things. Your foremothers were making these things. This is the honor of our women. I want to rephrase that. This was the work that our women were doing. And, of course, the other nations' women thing, too, but I'm doing our women. All women were doing these things. This was the standard that they was doing. To take a woman from the 50s and 60s and put them in modern day, oh, man, she'd be running circles, man. Everything's so easy. She'd be in a cake. It's a vacation now. Because you ain't got to do nothing. Or what you do have to do is very small compared to everything it is that you used to have to do. So now, it said, so clothes were often homemade, either sewn or knitted. Knitted items were, when outgrown, catch this, were recycled by being unraveled and re-knitted into something else. How many of y'all women doing that? I bet 0, maybe like 1%. Think about that. In a place, you can put it back on me real quick. So in a place to where when clothes, we be in a place that clothes be outgrown, we be ready to throw them mugs away. Women are old say, hell no, what you doing, child? That's a garment you throwing away. We can't fit it no more. Give me that. What's wrong with you? Make that into something else. Felicia, get this, get her and make that into something else. Why is she playing? Throwing away good fabric. You know how much that costs? Look at all that fabric you just throwing away. And yet you still talk about you need a dress. You better make something out of that. Like, man, you got to know how the way it was. Like the foolish, like for them, for the woman of the 50s and 60s, what a lot of women are doing today is so foolish. Like, are you a kid or what? It's foolishness. Because it's everything that they had, it was a totally different mindset. Because not only 50s, this was back before the women had to do everything differently. So it's a totally different mindset when it came down to these things. Like, where you at? Where's your sense? Like, man. Like I said, watch when we get on men with Father's Day. It's boys, because the men, we had a lot of stuff we had to do too, boy. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. So now, all right, go back. Go back. Hey, it's either you're going to like it or you're going to hate it. You know, like I said, I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. It's just history. Man, look. All right, so look. When collars on shirts became frayed, they were unpicked, turned inside out, and sewn back on. Think about that. Fixing a collar. Babe, my collar all messed up. What you want me to do? That's modern day. What you want me to do? Yeah, take it off and flip it and put it back on. Nowadays, that's just doing too much. Was it too much for our women of old? But it's too much now because we get lazy. We don't feel like doing all that stuff. It'd be like, that's the extras. But no, today, it's just so convenient to just get rid of stuff. But then think about how much money you waste that way. And think about how resourceful that our women were. So now it says, all buttons and zips from old clothes were saved for the button box. It was old clothes. You better save them buttons. That could go, you're going to lose a button on a new garment. We're going to need one of them old buttons. Matter of button box. It says socks and stockings were darned. All these things were kept and used for the prayer. Get Proverbs 31, 13 and 22.
Proverbs 31, verse 13. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
See, our women were seeking these things. You didn't have to make them do it. They were seeking it. I know right where I need to go. Nowadays, you got to damn near beg someone, hey, babe, can you make this? Man, I'm telling you, I can do it later. Man, I need this song. Can you do it this week? And it don't even get done a month later with some women. You be like, golly, where's the prioritization? I said I'm going to do it. And then she got a problem just when you ask, like, can you do it? It's been a month. And she got a problem. That's what we got to deal with today. So, but if you that woman who do it, hey, take care of everything, cool, all praises. You fulfilling, man, part of the history of your foremothers is running through your veins. All right, let's go back. All right. So now it says, dinner would be on the table, ready and waiting for the man of the house on his return from work. How many women perfecting that? That's one of the ones, it's tough, boy. A lot of times he home, now I'm starting on dinner. And then he might have to come up and get it. I may or may not fix him a plate and have it already on the table ready. And then I might feel some type of way about it because I feel as if I'm his servant. What am I doing? He can get up, fix his own plate. A lot of women feel like that. Not all of them. I'm not saying this is all of them, but different feelings involved. But this was the honor of our women. Dinner will be on the table, ready and waiting for the man of the house on his return from work. Housework and the care of children was considered woman's work, so the man would expect the house to be clean and tidy, meal ready, children fed and washed, and his clothes all ready for the next day at work. Like, that was the standard. That wasn't something new, like, you asking for too much. Like, that was the standard. All of that was to be expected and done. So when your husband complaining, like, man, why these things ain't done, and you feeling like, well, it's like this was the standard. The only exception or rule that will be allowed is if you were taking care of other duties that prevented you from doing all of these things. Then that's understandable. Then, yeah, of course, a man should be understanding the reason where, okay, yeah, it makes sense why you didn't get to this. Because you was busy doing these things. That makes sense. I'm not going to fault you on that. That's being understanding and reasonable. But if you're at home all day and you ain't did this, that's an issue. That's the problem. It's different if, okay, I did half of those things because I was working part-time today. Cool. Reasonable. Or you know what? I had a late start because, yeah, I work a full-time job. Reasonable. Totally understandable. But, yeah, I didn't get it done because I didn't feel like it, even though I was at home. Totally unexcusable, slap in the face and disrespectful to the Most High, your four mothers, and your husband. Totally unacceptable. So now, get Proverbs 31. Let's read verse 10, 15, and 18. You see, all this is just predicated off of Proverbs 30 because a lot of times it becomes, when you're just reading the scripture, sometimes it feel like, you're talking at me, you ain't talking to me. But when you get other sources that deal with these things in depth in a way, because once again, I can't even say it took me a long time to find because I was rushing, boy. It took me like 5 minutes to find it, but I had to find something that lined up with the scripture real good. So go ahead and read that.
Proverbs 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies.
And I'm going to reiterate that because who can find her in her price is a little above rubies?
Far above rubies.
Far above rubies. Because this is the value. This is what makes you valuable. This is what makes you special. This is what makes the woman beautiful. Man, I don't need a dime piece. Give me a 4 or 5 and doing this and we good. That's the truth because this makes her more beautiful. Give me a dime piece who ain't doing this, she becomes into a 2.
Should have won.
She do. A 1, if she really going off, then she become a 1. But she become a 2, maybe a 3. It's the truth. She become a 2 or 3 because no one wants to deal with hell in the household because she don't want to do her position. I'm doing mine. Because a big retrospect, and I just remembered it too because I was hoping I didn't forget this part. In retrospect, think about it this way. The biggest thing right now, me speaking as a leader over this organization, the biggest thing that is suffering right now is my work within the organization. Because it takes the help in the household that gives me the time needed to build for the household of my nation. If I have to do everything in the house, how can I help and do the things outside the house? How can Martin Luther King or Malcolm X be Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and do what they did for the nation if they're too busy taking up what needs to be done in the household, which is originally the woman's job? Think about it. Think about Malcolm. Think about Martin saying that, I can't come out today to give a speech. The laundry and the dishes. Oh, they got to get cleaned. And my wife, she needs me to do them. So I'll be back in a few weeks now. Like, man, how would he ever had a dream? Because women don't even fully understand a man needs time to think. And if he does not have peace, he cannot think. And you wonder why stuff is messed up. Boy, I'm running on fumes. I get up at 5 or 6 in the morning. I go to bed at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I'll be crying. Let a meeting come up. We had 2 meetings this week. Boy, I was so far behind schedule. Man, at the council, the top tier leadership of the top council, man, must took up so much time. And guess what happened when I get home? I still got the feed the kids, dishes waiting for. I still got to bathe them, get ready for work. Oh, get ready for school the next day. It'd be a struggle. It'd be a struggle, but I love it. But I do that to empathize with the woman that, hey, you do. For all the single ladies out there, all the single fathers, man, my heart go out to you, you know. But for the ones that where, look, you got some help is better than no help, boy, I tell you, you know. So it's better than having to do everything on your own. But it's rewarding. I love it, you know, because I teach my kids 24/7. But it's one of those things, look, Martin and Malcolm would have been able to do what they had to do if they didn't have, and like they say, man, behind every strong leader is a strong woman. Because that woman helps make that leader better. Because you help empower him to be what he needs to be for the nation. You know, because you got his back. You empower that man. Those are things you got to think about, man. You empower that man. So and this is one of those videos, man. I hope all my mothers and stay-at-home, wives, all the wives and mothers, hope they watch these things and hear these words with love and not of hate and things of that nature. All right, because it's once again all these things in love. Let's continue. And I have no clue what time. I ain't even keep a track of the time, so I hope it ain't too much left with this. But I promise you, I ain't keep it up. I have no clue. Don't tell me though.
Verse 15.
Keep going. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. She rises also while it is yet night.
Look at that. The woman rises while it was yet night. She get up even if it's late. A lot of, man, ain't nothing worse than where I'm teaching. I get out of class. You come home, you be driving home, you ask, hey, babe, can you warm me up some pineapple? Because one of my favorite desserts is pie. I'll be like, man, warm me up some pineapple. Man, I just laid down to go to sleep. Man, your attitude, I'm like, man, don't even worry about it. I'll just do it when I get home. Don't even worry about it, man. If I'm asking for too much. Because sometimes it's like, man, I just like it, man, can I just come home to this? And the thing is, a lot of times she still do it, but it's why you got to complain so much to do it. It's like, how come we just can't be like, at least hang up and then complain to yourself? Like, why I got to hear all the complaining? Like, man, why I got to hear all the complaining? Complain, like, hang up first and then, like, man, say whatever it is you got to say. Just don't let me have to hear it so I still feel like it's out of the love of your heart. You got up. At least make me feel that way. Y'all like to feel a certain way. Y'all like to feel love. It'd be the same thing. I want to feel love too in the household. I feel like damn, I'm feel like the worst husband on earth because I just finished teaching a 2-hour class and just want you to warm me up some pie. Like, man. Ain't no man should have to feel that type of abuse. Get the next verse. Get the next verse, man. People alive be like, man,
she rises also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her husband, and a portion to her maidens.
Man, she up there cooking for her husband and her maidens, whoever else in the household. Rising up late at night, like, man, if it's needed. Get verse 18, man.
Verse 18. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night.
That means, man, even in a place to where she's in a place, because you keep the candle lit as long as you're working, you can see what you're doing. She's in a place to where that candle stays lit so she can continue working even in the late hours. That's the mindset. When you're in a place, and many know both as operator, any parent, father or mother, you're in a place, sometimes you got to sacrifice and it just got to get done. You got to do it. You got to do it. You just got to, take care of it. I've been in a place, man, I crashed one time. I came home, went to sleep, and I took like a 2-hour nap and woke up. Man, I slept from like 10 to 12, and I was up from 1 to 3, and then I had to get up at 5 again. I was like, boy, man, working, just trying to make sure. Thank you. I appreciate you. Woo, see me sweating. Boy, looking greasy and shiny, huh? Said that chocolate bar melting. That chocolate bar about to be chocolate syrup. All right, let's continue.
Back to the PowerPoint.
Y'all make me laugh. Is it back to the PowerPoint? We read all 18?
Yeah.
Yo, maybe miss some stuff. Okay, yeah, back to the PowerPoint. Yeah, back to the PowerPoint. All right, so for the 1950s housewife, there was no need to go to the gym. I wonder why. Her day-to-day jobs kept her physically active. Boy, I can attest to that because, like today, boy, I was sweating getting everything ready. Boy, I was going from back to back. I'm in a place where I'm sweating bullets. The kids don't even know. I'm over here getting them dressed and ready. I'm arms sweating, face sweating. I'm like, man, good thing I didn't already shower. I got to get in the shower. But I was like, man, I'm sweating getting them ready. Because it's a lot of work. I'm over here cleaning up everything, and, you scrubbing the floor. I made sure, vacuum and mop the floor and everything. I'm over there mopping good. I'm over there sweating and breaking my bad things of that nature. It's a lot of work that goes into housework. Literally, like legitimately. You can look it up. Housework is a lot of exercise. If you're doing it like back to back, like full time, like from the time from 6 up until this class started, how long do you think I took a break? Man, I had the hour break with making sure the kids ate their food and I ate my food. That was it. Everything was work. You know, I took an hour lunch break and made sure, because I had to make sure to finish on everything. But that's it. Housework is a job. It is a job, and it is literally work, both in the economic finance aspect, but also in the sense of labor aspect too. It's exercise. So now, look at everything she said. Look, kept her fit out. She walked to the shops and took the children to school every day on foot. The housework she did was very labor intensive without today's gadgets. And there was no such thing as convenience foods or fast food outlets. Think about that. No such thing. Eat out. Go eat out this pot in the kitchen. That's what we're going to eat out. Eat out this bowl. That's what we're going to eat out. What eat out you talking about? It said, look, sweets and crisps, the only flavor available was ready salted, were treats rather than everyday foods. So anything that's sweet, man, sweets and everything was a treat. I've been in places, I've been operating single parent 22 days. How many times do you think I didn't ate out and bought some fast food?
Every day?
0. I've cooked every meal. 0. I ain't eating out nothing. So if I'm a man doing it as a woman, I'm doing this and I'm really be on the women now. If I'm doing all of this, you gonna damn sure be. I don't want to hear no complaints. I don't know excuse. I'm breaking my neck, busting. Boy, I'm doing everything. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and guess what? As soon as the meal is over, I wash all the dishes and put away all the leftovers. That's what I'm doing, you know. But it's like, it's work. I am not mitigating the work involved, but it is hey, look, and I'll be happy to get, man, most days of the week, because I ain't lying, because I'm empathizing right now. I'm empathizing. Most of the time, I don't have time to myself. Everything goes to run the household, taking care of the kids. I'll be happy to get some break time. But the break time I do, boy, I enjoy, I have peace.
Peace.
I'll be happy to get 30 minutes, but if I can push an hour, boy, I'll take it. I'll take it. Because by the time you do settle down and get some time to yourself, you done fell asleep. Like, you ain't even got no time. You dead tired. You know, and then you be tired and you get up, and then kid and peed in the bed, and it's like, man, you know how much time I spent cleaning the mattress? I had to clean the mattress good. I made sure I researched the different ways to clean the mattress and choose which way. It's a few different ways out there. I said, man, let me make sure I clean this mattress good, because it's like, man. But once you hear, like, Daddy, I peed in the bed. It's like, snap. All right, I'll be in there in a minute. Because now, you know, you got to bathe them. And I just bathed you last night. And I got to bathe you, still get everything else ready. That's taking time. Now we going to be late. Why we late? Because I had extra stuff that I had to do. She peed in the bed. You ain't feeling bad because you late? It's like, man, I'll make it, though. Woo! All right. Back to the slide. I'm sorry. Some people online probably complaining. He said, this mother. Get Proverbs 31:17.
Proverbs 31, verse 17.
We almost done. Get Proverbs 31:17.
She girded her loins with strength.
See that? Because all this, you see all this stuff you got to do, you got to gird your loins with strength. You're going to need some type of strength to keep this, because, boy, I know this is stressful. You know, it's tired. But you got to gird them loins. You better put on something, tie that scarf on a little tight, whatever it is. Because it's like, man, it's a battle. This is a battle. Read on.
And strengtheneth her arms.
Verse 27. You got to get ready like, come on. You got to wash these clothes. Come on, 27.
She looked well to the way of her husband.
Read that again.
She looketh well to the ways of her husband. Excuse me, I'm thinking about it.
Read it again.
She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not bread of idleness.
And that's wise, because she's always making sure, look, I'm looking well, because I got to maintain the house. This is my parameter. I got to maintain it. My children and my husband are depending on me. They're depending on you. You can't fall. You're a pillar in the household. You're that pillar. That pillar maintains and supports that household. So now, it says, and she eateth not the bread of idleness. She's always got something to do. You're supposed to always have something to do. Like that rest is supposed to be just that. It's that little bit of rest. No different than 6 days shall a man work. That 7th day shall he rest. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. You have time to where you're laboring, and then you have a little bit of rest just to be like, man, I got some peace before I have to, man, take care of everything I got to take care of. But we ain't worried about that. We just going to relax, and I'm going to eat these milk and cookies, and I'm going to relax. That's the way it's supposed to be. All right, so let's continue. Oh, yeah, we almost done. All right, so look, let's continue. So this is the 1950s housewife had been prepared both at school and at home for her role in life. I'm going to say that again. It says the 1950 housewife had been prepared both at school and at home for her role in life. Think about that. Getting prepared, elementary, middle school, high school. And then at home, through your mother, grandmother, for your position in life. This is your life position. This is your life's work right here. This is your masterpiece. These are the things to where when the scriptures get, now hold on, we got to wrench around and get this scripture. I got to find it too. I know about a roundabout what I'm looking. Here we go. Get 1 Timothy 2 and 15. Yeah. Bring this to life. 1 Timothy 2:15, let's read it.
1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
In childbearing, this is childbearing. This childbearing isn't, because many women may read that and think, I'm just giving babies. No! Childbearing is everything to do with the raising and nurturing of these babies. Not just a poop, there it is. Like, no, it's raising and taking care. Like, this is everything that comes with it. It's a complete package. All of these things make up the majority of your salvation and how well you perform these things. Everything else is icing on the cake. Like, all of this ties into how you're performing, aside from just, keeping the law based. This is all part of the laws. And your role as a righteous, holy woman of the Most High. And how well you're doing. Like, this is a big part of it. So now, let's go back. So now, she took pleasure and pride in looking after her home and family to the best of her ability. Think about it. You was thinking, I seen you thinking face. You think she did looked over it and everything else. It said, look, because you got to think about how many women actually take pleasure and pride. Those are two different words. Pleasure and pride, the good pride. Pride in looking after her home and family to the best of her ability. Think about that. It says, however, on the other side of the coin, she didn't have a career outside the home, and she had no income of her own, which left her dependent on her husband. Eesh. But the scripture to defend that, because that's not the way it was ever set up to be. And we'll get those scriptures, then we'll close out. Get Exodus 22 and 24. You put it back on me now. We'll be wrapping it up just now. Ooh, time ain't too bad. 9:26. Probably got like 5 minutes left. Get Exodus 22 and 24.
Exodus chapter 22, verse 24. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless.
Wrong one. Don't worry about that one. I got the wrong one. Get Surah 35 and 14.
Sirach chapter 35, verse 14. He will not despise the supplication of the fatherless, nor the widow, when she poureth out her complaint.
So now it says, the Most High would not despise the supplication of the fatherless or the widow when she poureth out her complaint. The things that we read, like however on the other side of the coin, she didn't have a career outside the home and she had no income of her own, which left her dependent on her husband. When the negative would come, when she would be left either in a situation where she was single or didn't have no income, and she would complain about that, like that was a just complaint. Like if you're not getting taken care of, that was a righteous complaint because you're supposed to be getting taken care of by your nation. That, which we're going to get, actually we'll get it. I want to spoil it. Get 2 Maccabees 3:10. Get 2 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 10. Let's get that.
2 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 10.
Get that.
Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children.
Why would he say that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children? Because it was the duty of the nation that with the alms, a portion that was to take care of the fatherless and the widows. So you were never in a place to where you didn't have, or what do I do with that? The nation took care of you. What do you need? You're supposed to be able to go into the priest and say, hey, I like this, I need this. Because that's what a portion of back then the tithes were for. So they were taken care of, so that was never a concern. So now, from there, let's go ahead and get Deuteronomy 14, 28 to 29. Let me get that. So this is why they were saying this is 2 Maccabees. Let's get the law. Deuteronomy 14, 28 to 29.
Deuteronomy 14, verse 28. And at the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithes of thy increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within thy gates. And the Levites, because he hath no part nor inheritance with thee.
Because the Levites didn't have any land, things of that nature, so they lived amongst all the tribes, be able to teach all the tribes, and they had districts that they lived in, but didn't have a landmass of their own, and they didn't work a regular job because they didn't have time to work a regular job because of all the duties that they had to fulfill in taking care of, because they took care of all the feasts, all the teaching, everything they did, they played the role of everything. That they were the doctors, the lawyers, that was all this stuff. And they didn't get paid for it. They got paid through the alms that was given through Israel in regards to being able to take care of them. And not only them, but let's read on.
And the strangers, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy power may bless thee in all the work of thy hand which thou doest.
Right, because our job was only to take care of the Levites, but we had to make sure that our widows and our fathers were taken care of. That was a commandment. I said it again, that was a commandment. Not some option, not some, I might do it. No, we had to do it. Because otherwise, it put the women in place to where you could righteously complain that you're not taken care of. So all this, whatever it is, what are them other things they call them programs? Man got to be out the house.
Section 8?
Section 8, what the other one? Food stamps?
Food stamps?
Yeah,
food
that
program.
one too. Yeah, all the food program thing. Man got to be out the house. That wasn't a problem because we were the ones providing those services that Esau's trying to now make up and put out there. That was our job, to provide and take care of those things so women wouldn't have to struggle. So now, let's get last scripture, 2 Ezra 2 and 20. Let's get this, 2 Ezra chapter 2 and verse 20.
Second Ezra chapter 2 and verse 20. Do right to the widow, judge for the fatherless, give to the poor, defend the orphan, clothe the naked.
See that? That's what it is the most that we're supposed to be doing. Because doing right to the will, to making sure that they're taken care of. In the event something happens to their head. So there was never a worry, concern to where, well, I got to make sure even though he here, I got to make sure I do all these things to make sure that I'm good with me. It was always to make sure that, look, as long as I'm serving the Most High, as long as I'm doing my part, Most High is going to take care of me, and the nation's going to take care of me. That's what we had, and that's what we got to get back to. Having that love, care, and concern for each other, and that is the true value of our mothers. All right? So with that, I'm going to close out. Most I will, and hope the lesson was good. Y'all learned something. Hopefully I ain't too mad. But you learned something, you got something from it, all right? You know, so have that be the tribute, you know, to our women, okay? So with that, we'll go ahead and close out. And any